Good evening and welcome to the Red Devils podcast. It's a very distraught and vulnerable Manchester United side that came up against a magnificent City side. Probably one of the worst games I've seen in a long time. Manchester United 1, Manchester City 3 at full time. The Manchester United fans will definitely be feeling the blues tonight, excuse the pun. Gentlemen, let's get straight into it. How do you think? What are your thoughts on the way Manchester City went about things today?
Pep, he schooled all it today. Nothing I didn't expect. I did predict a 3-1. I did predict that we would not change anything. It would be this shocking. We press good in the 5 minutes, then we don't press again, and then because we didn't press, that first wonder goal went in, and I'm trying to calm myself. I don't want to sweat too early. I'm trying to take deep breaths in here.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll have more than enough opportunities to get your
There's lots of
grievances
things
in. But
wrong.
let's focus on City for a bit. We'll get to United. We'll get to United. Don't worry. I want to focus a bit on how City played because the way they played from minute one up until maybe they dropped off a bit in the second half, but in that first half in particular, I think we saw a tenacious City side that really wanted to prove a point and was really up for it. From the Bernardo Silva goal right up until the end, they could have been 6-0 up. Sterling, if Sterling had had his shooting boots on, who knows what the scoreline could have been at halftime. But
Sterling loves United. City love United and Oli. They didn't want to put six in there. Like, no, guys, we want this guy in the job as long as possible, right? If we bash him too much, the board might just sack him tomorrow. We need to keep him there.
It was interesting because it's interesting you bring that up because Pep Guardiola in the pre-match press conference was asked about the whole Oli saga and Van Persie, and his comments or remarks were basically that Oli, if Oli wants to smile, let Oli smile. That's his personality. And then he was also asked if he thinks that Manchester United will bounce back from this sort of dark age that they're in, and he said, "Yeah, I think they do," but it didn't look sincere. A part of it felt sarcastic. It didn't sound sarcastic, but it felt sarcastic. Like I don't think that a manager of Pep's class and quality can honestly say that this Manchester United side is good enough to contend with his City side. Like I think he knows his levels above us, and he ain't even the best at the moment. It's Liverpool, so I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that.
I think I'm much calmer than I was at halftime, but yeah, Pep schooled. He showed all of that his tactics belong in League One. It was horrible. Like Man City were magnificent tactically to start off the ball, which was what everybody was worried about. They didn't press too much. They gave us the space. They let us hold the ball because they know we struggle there. So that way we couldn't find the spaces. And then going forward, they were brilliant. They dropped the Burner in the midfield, that extra numbers, and they could control the game. And it was like Arsenal. There was nothing we could do. We couldn't find the spaces. We were toothless. Second half, it got a bit better. But it wasn't.
You know what I think is funny?
I think it was more City dropping off, to be honest. I feel like City.
Yeah. Definitely.
Didn't play the same intensity they played in the first half.
And I was going to say,
you know what I think is funny. Sorry, can I just get this in? You know what I think is hilarious? I think when you look at the way Manchester City attacked in that game, I think they kind of hit us with our own medicine. Obviously, in the first few minutes, they were in control, but for the rest of the game, I think they hit us with our own medicine, and they did it better than us. They did it better than we've ever done this entire season. The transition. It's just they didn't have the finishes, but the transition. Mwah. It almost hurts me to say this, but you got it. Beautiful football. Yeah.
But I was just, that's exactly, I was going to say the same thing. But you said it, he schooled us at our own tactic. And what he did is he didn't play a single striker. He played a midfield because, we have basically no midfield. He just outpassed us, outplayed us, moved the ball, one touch everywhere, tiki-taka. And he just, he ripped United apart. If Aguero was there instead of Sterling today, it would have been 6-7-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, to be honest.
Scary.
Sterling was unlucky, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many shots United ended up having, but the last time I checked, and this was about 70th, 60th minute, I think we only had 2 on target out of the 7, whereas City had 5 on target and they got 13. Yeah, it's just, I think Manchester City on all fronts really did play us out the park today. I think them getting the first goal immediately put United on the back foot and pretty much out of the game, because then it was always going to be about United being able to chase the game. I think you look at Manchester United's side and how they decided to set up, that left side in the back there was very vulnerable, because I'm not sure if Fred was playing in front of Jones and Williams in the first half or not, but that whole triangle was very vulnerable. Williams made a lot of mistakes, not just going forward, but even at the back, he made a lot of mistakes, which you expect from a young player. That's only what I've been saying about him. Jones, as usual, Phil Jones, he's going to make mistakes. Lindelof, the problem with Lindelof for me in this game, and I know we'll get to the play rating, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think the problem with Lindelof and the whole back four in general is there was no leader. Actually, the whole back six, if you want to call it that, because I include the midfield, the two holding midfielders. There was no leadership for United. For City, the plan was clear. Like they didn't even need leaders. The plan was clear. Everyone knew their place. Pep was just, calling the shots from the sidelines. It was unbelievable, man. It was unbelievable. Manchester United is definitely not red tonight.
Yeah, Manchester.
What do you think? So we've spoken about City. What do you think Manchester United specifically got wrong? What do you think were the things that made us lose this game? The very specific things tactically that Oli got wrong today, besides playing on the break, like we know that.
First of all, Oli, he stuck with this formation. He did stick with it. He's supposed to change it. Yeah. Second of all, all right, I held it in for this long. Second of all, he played Lingard in the game. He played him. He actually played Lingard in the game. The guy I said must never be in a United shirt again. He fucking.
I'm sorry, it's too funny.
Yeah. Like, what I don't understand is the persistence of playing Pereira in 6. Like, when has Pereira ever been in number 6?
It's a lack of personnel.
Yeah. To move on from that and going on to that point, there wasn't much Ole could do in this game. Like, we're toothless. We have no players. He can try to change the formation, but, like, we just don't have the players to compete with the midfield like Manchester City. So I feel like if Guardiola had gotten the tactics right, this was always going to happen.
I think Matic should have started over Lingard, or even over Pereira, but over Lingard, because Pereira is better than Lingard. I think Matic should have started in the 6 alongside Fred, because you can say whatever you want about Nemanja Matic, but he's far better. I trust him a lot more at winning the ball and just being a bit more of a leader in the middle of the park than I do with Fred being there and Pereira and Lingard. It just didn't look good. It didn't look good. Fred was running around like a headless chicken by himself there in the middle of the park.
I do think Matic and Gomez improved us in the second half. But to be honest, I feel like Man City were just more open in the second half. They seemed convinced that they could take us on and score more goals, which is a big mistake because that gave us an opportunity to counter a bit more. But like, I feel like Man City's midfield, with De Bruyne dropped in playing in the false 9, was always going to dominate us today.
Well, I wouldn't call it a big mistake because it really didn't backfire that much. United suck, but it is a mistake nevertheless. Yeah, United today, I think for me, and what Oli got wrong in particular was, we can spend as much time as we want on the team selection and how questionable some of the choices were. But the reality is in that back four, Maguire wasn't fit to play for this game. Jones is the only replacement, so you've got to pair him with Lindelof, whether you like it or not. I don't think this was the game to be experimenting with the back three, so I'm happy he didn't do that. And then on the left, Shaw is ill, so he had to go with Brandon Williams, which for me is unfortunate because he's a young player. Again, today, like, Brandon Williams is a good player, but he's going to play in patches and people don't understand that. And we can't have young players. We can't be experimenting on young players in big games like this. Even Greenwood, I think, was questionable today, some of the decisions he made, and he's a young player. So it's expected. We can't say we didn't see this coming unless you're Greenwood FC or Williams FC. And then with Wan-Bissaka, he can't carry the defense by himself, not because he isn't good enough, but also because of where he plays. Like, fullbacks don't carry the defense.
That side once. Pep and Sterling knew no, don't go down there.
They did go down that side. Not a lot, but they did. And Sterling, I think Sterling slipped, and Wan-Bissaka looked so bad because all he was doing was backtracking. He was so scared to challenge Sterling. And if Sterling didn't mess up his footing there, United would have 100% been in trouble. So I don't think Wan-Bissaka was the same Wan-Bissaka he was at the Etihad. The Wan-Bissaka at the Etihad would have taken Sterling on outside the box, and instead of just backtracking like a toothless defender. It was hard to watch because behind Wan-Bissaka is Lindelof was also backtracking, and I'm like, Kenya Lutu, dog, put your foot in, put your foot in, backtracking till what? Till you bump into De Gea and you slip and fall. Where are you going? So I think just there's a lack of leadership for Manchester United. That was the biggest thing for me today. There was a lack of it. I think Ole did give a hoorah speech in the second half, but again, how much of United's performance in the second half came down to them? Yeah. It was City dropping off and opening up. City knew. Yeah. Even the way De Bruyne was playing after he lost the ball, he was just strolling in the middle of the park.
City didn't want to sack Ole today. They could have easily wiped us. Easily.
Yeah, Sterling just didn't want to score.
I'm sure some United fans would have preferred that.
Yeah, I was like, go bash us, please. Go bash us so badly that this guy, there's no other choice but to get fired in the morning.
Look, I think 3-1 is already humiliating enough, to be honest with you, especially in that manner. I really do.
But don't cry. We would be like, oh, they scored one goal. There's hope.
We were better in the second half. We won the second half. The boys gave it all. We go again. Oh, fuck.
To be honest, I feel like what Arsenal and Man City have done is made a blueprint on how to beat United. And I feel like smaller teams will struggle to do it because you need a midfield to do it. But then I feel like teams like Liverpool and Spurs can learn from this game. If you're a little compact at the back and you're careful with your passes, you can beat this United side because they don't have the quality.
Also, I would add that looking at the way United play in transition, it's very, very, very predictable. It's a few passes in the back four, maybe a pass in the middle, maybe a pass back to the back four, and then a long ball over to James or Rashford. And so with United, you know exactly what they're trying to do when they're going forward. As soon as they get into the final third, you've just got to make sure you cover the runs. Yeah. Because once James is running and he has someone next to him, once Rashford is running and he has someone next to him, then you get someone like Greenwood doing that little Premier League stutter in the middle and is like, well, I guess I'll just have a shot then. And then it's the same thing all over again. The only time I saw a bit of creativity from United was a beautiful moment. I think it was in the second half where Williams and Fred had like 4 or 5 passes between each other. And then Williams took one of the softest shots I've seen, and he's not a forward, so I don't blame him.
Pass back to the keeper. That's what it was.
He basically passed back to the keeper, and I was like, my boy, Rashford's in the box, like you could have gone for something. Yeah. And it's always the same thing with United, right? It's always the same thing because a lot of people take shots at Rashford for this, but it's not just Rashford. It's Pereira. At times it's Greenwood, except we forgive Greenwood because he at least hits the target. It's James as well sometimes, although James has gotten a bit better at it, I think. They do this thing where they get scared and they don't see the options or they don't react quickly enough. They don't pass the ball quickly enough into space. So the guy they initially wanted to pass to is now covered and all they've got left to do is shoot in their heads. And it's like, don't shoot, just pass back, just hold the ball for a bit until the chance comes. Because this thing of United just trying to force chances, like, you literally haven't had the ball for the last 10 minutes in a football match. And instead of trying to hold on to the ball and create something, you're going to give it back to the opposition. Because, like, Brennan Williams is not going to score from outside the box, let alone inside the 18-yard area. It's not going to happen. And it's just...
It's coaching. It's coaching. I remember when Sarri came to Chelsea and Hazard was saying that training is a bit tedious because they do the same thing over and over again. It's about drilling it into the players.
Yeah.
And that makes the movement off the ball and on the ball better. And Ole does not do that.
The coaching Ole and probably doesn't do that. This team is hopeless.
Ole probably doesn't do that. And I'm not going to defend Ole. I think Ole is out of his depth. I think we all know that as United fans, whether you're Ole in or Ole out. But I think one thing I will definitely say outright here, and this is me being as objective as I can be, is it's also just a lack of experience because the way Fred, Martial, and maybe Matic when he's had his beautiful moments in the last few games. Surprisingly, I'm putting him as an example. The way those three players, and maybe Greenwood to a certain extent because he's also a baller, but I didn't see it today. The way they play technically is levels above everyone else on the team. Like Brandon Williams doesn't have it. He just, like that one moment where he was passing, you could just see like he didn't know what to do with the ball. Like Fred kept giving it back to him and you could just see he didn't know it. Oh yeah, and Mata has it as well. The technical side of those players I just mentioned is on point. The rest of them don't know what they're doing. And yes, you can blame that on coaching, but you look at the other 5 players I mentioned, they're in the same team. They're also not getting coached, but they're intelligent enough to realize that sometimes you've got to go on and make things happen by yourself, and you don't need a master tactician to tell you what's right and wrong. And that could come down to chemistry as well. Maybe, because it is a chemistry thing. Like, you can't deny that. Like, the way Martial and Rashford link up, it doesn't happen with anyone else on the team, really. So that's just my little 2 cents.
I agree it's a bit of both, because you can see...
It's a bit of both.
I'll make an example with Zidane's with Madrid. You can see they weren't really coached extremely in that, but because there's so much experience and quality,
exactly.
They just did that.
Exactly.
So with the team, with Matic,
it's such a young team.
Yeah. He has the experience, but the young players, they can't.
And the worst thing about United is the 5 players I just mentioned can't carry this team alone. Matic and Mata are past it physically. They can't do it, especially not for a full game. Heck, they can't even do it for half an hour. They struggle. And then with Martial and Greenwood are forwards. It's not their job to control the tempo of the game. So when they do drop back, nobody else is there to finish on the other end. And then I forgot who. Oh yeah, Fred was my other example. Fred, it's worse with Fred because even today I could see he struggled to get back on transition to help the defense. He works so hard going forward for Manchester United that when teams hit us on the break, ironically, he's not there to backtrack. And you've got Jonesy and Lindelof trying to run off. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looked really sad to watch today.
Such bad coaching. And the fans can see it. You can change something after 10 minutes. But they can't do it. There was a moment where the camera zoomed on Oli and he waited there. I think it was just as the first half ended. And he was waiting there for Carrick. And to ask Carrick, like, he's the manager of the club, what must happen? It's a disgrace, man. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, I don't think that's Oli's fault. I think this is going back to the same thing that I spoke about in the last podcast with Frank Lampard. And the reason why I was saying I like Frank Lampard is because Frank Lampard is open. He said, hey, like, I have a problem. And I looked towards one of my assistants. I forgot what the guy's name is. And he gave me practical advice to help me pick the players for this game and change what was wrong. So the coaching staff on the side of the field are just as involved as the manager is. Like, people forget that. The coaching staff are just as involved.
Yeah, but Lampard's got experienced coaching staff behind him. Carrick is inexperienced. All our coaching staff are freaking like
that's what I was getting to. I'm not arguing with you. I'm raising a point. I'm saying that's not Oli's fault. That is the fault of the rest of the coaching staff as well. You can't put the entire onus on Oli to make tactical changes 20 minutes into the game because he's out of his depth. And you've got to look towards the other coaches. With Carrick, it's disappointing because he was a midfielder. He should understand what goes into chance creation. And I'm really disappointed in him and Mike Phelan and the rest of those guys because they're just getting it wrong tactically at Manchester United. They are. That's not like, completely Oli.
Forgetting him being a midfielder. Like, we know it. It's the basis of football.
Exactly.
It's really funny how it's honestly funny.
Yeah.
The fans should see it. If the fans see it, the manager of Manchester United and the coaches of Manchester United should see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, we're only just fans. So, anyways, moving on to the player ratings then, gentlemen. Shall we get into it? David De Gea, out of 10. I think actually...
he made some world-class saves. He made 2 good saves. But when De Gea plays, I just don't have that confidence anymore with De Gea that I used to have. I don't know what's going on. I just, every time he does those passes out and he's not really good at it. And it gives me heart attacks. Every time he does it, it looks suicidal.
Can I defend De Gea here? I think De Gea is still a good distributor of the ball. I think he's in decline in that area of his game. But looking at the way De Gea plays out at the back, there isn't that many options for him. There really isn't. because there was a moment in the game where De Gea had the ball at the back and Jones and Lindelof were swamped by two City players. Wan-Bissaka was still backtracking, and I don't know what the hell Brandon Williams was doing. Matic is Matic, he's slow. So, like, Fred has also got someone on him. Pereira's got someone on him. And so all De Gea has to do, or really has as an option, is to either make a risky pass to Brandon Williams or Wan-Bissaka and hope that they control it properly. And then they'll probably just pass it back anyways because Matic is nowhere to be found on that side of the field. Or he can go for a long ball and lose the ball and give City the ball because Rashford's not good in the air, Martial's not good in the air, James is not good in the air. Like, they're not strong enough to win enough balls for De Gea to be like, hey, I'm going to kick it long every time because I trust you guys to retain possession. So I've got to defend De Gea there. The positioning of Manchester United off the ball we know is an issue. And as a goalkeeper, you can't magically look after the ball. You need your team to help you. You need to have someone to pass to. Who does De Gea have to pass to in this game? Like, who? Like, if you want to talk about De Gea's distribution, tell me. Like, show me the graphic. Who does De Gea have to pass to? Because I can bet you 9 times out of 10, everyone's in a bad position. Even that game against Arsenal where De Gea tried to pass it to Luke Shaw. Where else is he supposed to? Is he supposed to kick it to the other side of the field? For what? Then we lose the ball.
I think I'd rather prefer De Gea kicking it over the halfway line and losing the ball rather than making that wrong pass to Shaw and then losing it in our own box and then we concede.
We're going to concede anyways because you're giving the ball to the other team. So
I'm saying is you put it on the other side of the field. You don't just give it straight to
Shawnee, I completely get that. It makes complete sense to kick the ball out instead of passing it to Aguero. I completely get that. But when you're 2-0 down and you need to make something happen, giving the ball away as a keeper is probably not what you're instructed to do. It's part of the modern game to play out of the back. Like, even Pep knows that. He bought Bravo at City to play out from the back. That's part of the modern game. You can't pin it on De Gea. You can't say there's something wrong with De Gea's distribution when he's doing something that clearly works for other teams and that clearly makes sense. Like,
it makes sense, but our defenders are not also helping. Like, they don't.
That's what I'm saying. Space. That's what I'm saying. There's no space being created, so you can't completely blame.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is also though, when he knows, like, I could see if I was the keeper, I would see like these defenders are not helping me. I would much rather make it my decision to.
It's not that easy. Now. It's not that easy. Trust me. When you're in front of 90,000 people and your heart is pumping, and you've got the ball and Sterling is charging at you, and you've got a few split seconds to make a decision, and you've got to look up and see if Rashford's free. It's not that easy. I promise you, it's not that easy. I mean, unless you're a professional footballer and you've played at Manchester United, you can't say you could do a better job than De Gea distributing the ball. I'm sorry.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and he is a professional footballer, so I expect better. But that's just my opinion.
You just admitted yourself that the defenders aren't giving him space.
Let's not get carried away on this. But
I thought De Gea was poor anyways. I'm gonna give him a 4.
I can hear Marcus's point though, because you watch Man City, like, Edison's distribution is not just because he can kick the ball and he's good at finding spaces.
Exactly.
Because of the runs that Man City makes.
Exactly.
So I can understand that.
Watch any goalkeeper in the world who's good at distributing the ball and watch what their team does off the ball. And watch any goalkeeper in the world that passes the ball and any team that plays out the back. They know how to do it. Manchester United doesn't. You can't blame De Gea for that. I'm sorry. I have to defend him. But anyways, moving on. Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
No, I haven't given my rating yet.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think I'll give him a 6.5 because as much as he did make some spectacular saves here and there, he did concede 3 goals. So I think 6.5 is fair.
Yeah, one of them was it wasn't really Pereira's fault. Pereira couldn't do anything about them, but he did save that ball. One of them was a cracker, which many keepers in the world wouldn't have saved. So in actuality, only one of the goals was really his fault. So. Yeah. If you think about it. But anyways, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, what are you guys giving him out of 10?
I didn't think he really had to do anything too much. I felt like City knew they shouldn't go down that side so much. I didn't really see anything wrong with Wan-Bissaka. So
it was a quiet game.
It was a quiet game. So I just want to give Wan-Bissaka an average 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree. Like, City were very smart about this game. They actually went very narrow. I think that's why Bernardo Silva played as well. They needed a more technical player than a quick player. So I think they were very smart about that. And he didn't see much action. And he didn't do anything spectacular. So I can agree with the 6.
The funny thing is, you mentioned that. I think there was a point in Manchester in the game where Manchester City was starting to exploit the wider areas, and they kind of adapted because United just went narrow. Like there was a chance where Sterling was running through the middle, and he gave a through ball to De Bruyne, and De Bruyne smacked it across the box. And I don't know if it was Bernardo Silva on the end of that ball or Sterling. Oh yeah, it was Sterling. It was
Sterling.
on the end of that
Sterling.
ball.
And
Yeah. In that period of play, City were playing a lot of wide balls because United went very narrow, and I'm sure it's to combat what you were saying. So City adapted. City clearly have their tactics on point, and they changed them so quickly. Anyways, moving on then. Lindelof in the middle of the park, out of 10.
You know, I've been rating Lindelof over Maguire in the past few games. Today, he had a stinker. Absolute joke of a game today, I thought. Can't win anything in the air today. Again, and City aren't physical in the air. They have short guys and they didn't win anything. This guy didn't win any headers today. And it was his fault for one of our goals. I thought he was very poor. 3.
I love Shoney's reactions.
The difference, he's never been amazing early, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, the difference in general wasn't that great. Like, really, I can't rate them anything above 6, all of them. So I'll give him a 6.
6 is generous, bro. 6 is generous, but I ain't going to tell you how to do your ratings. I do want to add my 2 cents, though. I think with Lindelof, it's what I was saying at the beginning of the show. Like, he's not a leader. And, like, when you've got Pink Boots Jonesy next to you and you're not really the type of player to take charge of things in the box, it's recipe for catastrophe. It's a recipe for disaster. That's what I feel with Lindelof and Jones.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jones out of 10.
Also, he had an absolute stinker. But I expected him to be worse, I'll be honest with you. I thought all the goals today was going to be from his fault or whatever. But, I actually thought he was better than Lindelof today. I'm going to give Jones a 4.
I didn't, to be honest. I did not.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know about that one.
Phil Jones did. Maybe you guys can help me. Like, he had a horrible.
Yeah.
To add that, De Bruyne sat him down. So I think he was really bad. I think he deserves the 3.
I'm not going to say that Jones was worse than Lindelof, but I definitely ain't going to say he was better than Lindelof. I think with Jones, he is, in many ways, Jones is just a victim of how City played, because Shanique is spot on when he said City tried to attack from the right side rather than the left side. And so I think what happened is every time they got past Brandon Williams, the next line of defense was Jones. And Jones was just terrible. He was just terrible. But, we don't give sympathy points out here. So he did have a worse game, but because he had more to do. I think with Lindelof, we don't expect him to stand up and be the guy to take charge in the defense. We just expect him to do more of a holding role next to Maguire. And so with Jones coming into the team, it was always just going to be a disaster.
What I would have liked to see is Jones and them switch roles. I felt like Lindelof, because he's better and more experienced. Well, obviously not more experienced, but it's a better centre back. We give more protection to a young Brandon Williams, and Jones will have a Wan-Bissaka covering his side. But unfortunately, we didn't see that.
I think that would have been worse. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think that would have been worse. And the reason why I say it is because if you look at when Lindelof plays well, he always plays well when he's the quiet centre back, not when he's the one doing the work. Jones is aggressive. He's rash. I don't even want to compare him to Sergio Ramos because that makes my stomach turn inside out. But his style of play is very similar to the aggressive style of someone like Sergio Ramos or Pepe.
Yeah,
he's
like
a rash
Eric
defender.
Bailey. Yeah, like Eric
Yeah,
Bailey.
he's a rash defender. And so he has to take that role. He's not going to do it well. And I think if Lindelof has to try to do that role, he will fail. He doesn't have the pace. He doesn't have the aggression. He doesn't have the slide tackles. He will make so many mistakes.
Yeah.
But again, we wouldn't be in this
agree.
situation if the coaching staff and fitness staff looked after our players and we had better player management.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming from, though, because relying on Jones is just it's a head scratcher.
Like I'm sitting with a City fan here, and he just reminding me that he's a lot like Otamendi. He's very, very clumsy. Like I cannot trust Jones on the ball. Honestly, I don't know how he's still at this club. So, yeah, it was very poor.
Yeah, I forgot if you guys have even given him a rating, but
4.
4 and 3. Okay, 4 and 3. Brandon Williams. Nearly forgot.
You know what? I feel like I'm gonna get hated for this, but it might be my biasness also. But I felt like Brandon Williams didn't do Like wasn't his greatest game in United shirt. We've seen way better from him. But I didn't feel like he was terrible today. I felt like what
For
he
a
had
young
to deal
player, he
with.
wasn't
Yeah,
terrible.
and I think for what he had to deal with today, coming in this magnitude of a game, I thought he was all right. I thought, it's unfortunate, really. Maybe if Maguire is there next to him, he has a better game, or there's more comfort there. But I felt sorry for the kid, and I still don't want to slate him too much. And I did personally feel like he had an okay game, so I'm gonna give Williams a 5.
That's not bad.
Yeah, no, I can agree 100%. I mean, he's young. He still has so much growing to do. So obviously, we're not going to give sympathy points, but I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad at the same time. So I think 5.
A 5 is fair. Brennan Williams. Not the most costly mistakes, but mistakes nonetheless that you expect from a young player. So I think that's fair. Who started it? Oh, yeah, it was Pereira and Fred. So we'll go with Fred first, out of 10 then.
I felt like Fred should have pressed that Bernardo Silva goal a bit more quicker and stuff. It's not. I don't want to blame him also, but again, not Fred's best game today. Midfield was absolutely outplayed, outclassed. They all got sent back to the youth academy days. Sent to their mother's wombs today with City's midfield.
It was his responsibility, whether he was playing out of position or not. It was his responsibility.
Yeah, he should have closed it up.
He was the senior.
He should have closed it down.
He was.
Is the senior player. He has been performing. Yeah. I expected better from Fred. So I thought Fred, the midfield was dead. Fred got a 4 for me today. I think that's the lowest I've ever rated Fred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he was nowhere to be seen. Like, I'm finding it difficult to do these ratings because I feel like it was more how City played than what United did. So it's very difficult. But the midfield was very, very poor. Nowhere to be seen. So I think he deserves a 4.
Yeah, and what I would say to that is City are a magnificent team. Let's take nothing away from Manchester City, but the reason why they were able to do what they were able to do is because Manchester United just wasn't good enough, and you've got to recognize that. Like, there are 2 teams on a football pitch, always, unless you're playing against yourself. So,
but I feel like it goes much into the players, as we all know.
Obviously. Then is it Pereira? I think it is Pereira next out of 10.
6.
Yeah. 6.
Yeah, he didn't do much wrong. Yeah.
I think Oli. I think this is going to be, Pereira is murdered because of the system. He did get an own goal. I felt like he couldn't do much about that own goal, though. He did get an own goal, but he was playing so deep, and Pereira shouldn't. I feel like Pereira should never play there. I feel that was that's just poor, and I feel like Pereira suffered because of that. I thought Pereira was extremely poor today. I didn't even realize he didn't really do much for me in the game, so I'm gonna give Pereira also a 4.
Yeah, like,
it was a quiet game.
I can maybe negotiate for an 8 because he can pass the ball around, but nothing about Pereira as his defensive player. Nothing at all. He can't defend.
Yeah.
So it's really tough because he's forced to play in this position because Ole doesn't have players.
And he doesn't want to change his formation. He's stubborn. You're playing Pereira at CDM.
That's the real root of the problem. He doesn't want to change the formations. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. But anyway, I think he also deserves a 4. He did nothing. And as much as his fault, he did score an own goal. So he also deserves it.
Yeah, he didn't really do much. What I would say is that, we're getting to the next guy. So, at least Pereira had a much louder game than the next guy. Jesse Lingard out of 10.
First of all, did he play? Did Lingard actually play today? Like, I seen him again. It's the same thing like Rashford a few weeks ago. I seen him on the lineup, but I did not see him in the game, Now, but all jokes aside, fuck! Why? What's wrong with you? Honestly. Like, just Lingard is fuck off out of my club, fam. Honestly, right, if I go to England ever and I see Lingard in the street, I will fucking murder him. I will kill this man. He's such a prat. And it's not his fault. I don't even blame him too much. Because all he's there forcing it, like, hey, go play. All he's there, like, no, I'm going to pick you. Don't worry. You'll come right. You got personal issues in life and you're still getting played for Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs, and you're a fucking prat, man. You're 27 years old. You're supposed to be a freaking professional footballer. You get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds week in and week out for that shit. I'm telling you what, you give me £100 a week and I'll put in a better performance than that shithead. Oh my, anyone who loves Lingard, go suck my dick, fam. Suck it. Get out. I hate you, Lingard. I hate you. Listen to this. I actually hate
Oh
you.
my god.
I can't watch you. I hate you. You should have been off within 10 minutes. You shouldn't even be there. You
He
shouldn't have
still
been on the
hasn't
bus.
given the
You shouldn't be
rating.
in the country. Lingard, you're getting negative thousands. Fuck.
Wow. Yeah. I swear Lingard hasn't played since the Man
The
City game.
ratings, like, you know, if you had 45 mil plus Lingard, take him, eh?
Yeah.
45, bump it up to 90 mil.
Who wants him? We can give him away for free, honestly.
Yeah.
How do we?
No, you can't even give them away for free. You have to pay. You have to give them money and you have to give them Lingard. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah, he was. I won't have a go at him too much today because I feel like the whole midfield was bad, but he's just nowhere to be seen. I can understand the logic behind picking him because it worked at the Etihad. He can run into the channels, but phew.
It's too romantic, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah. I feel like when City play like they did, it exposes him even more because there's no space to run. Lingard can't do anything.
Like, you're killing this guy. You're actually killing Lingard, guys. You're murdering him.
You're running
even
his
more.
career into the ground.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bad that Aston Villa won't even take him. Villa won't take him.
Yeah, Rita, what are you giving him out of 10?
-6.
I think that's the first negative rating we've gotten from Rita on the show. That's crazy. I will say this about Lingard is that, you know, like, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm not even trying to have a go. I'm not even trying to be negative. You know, I'm usually the objective one. But all I remember from Lingard was when he fouled someone in the middle of the park. I can't even remember who he fouled because he got a yellow card for it. And, like, the camera wasn't on Mike Dean giving the yellow card. It was only after. Did he foul Fernandinho? I don't even know who he fouled, but that's all I remember from Lingard. I don't remember him seeing him run the ball.
Exactly. He does absolutely nothing.
No, yeah, but jokes aside, like, you know, I feel so bad for Lingard. Like, I feel bad for him. He's dying.
He's an English lawnmower, top of the range. He cuts grass for Manchester United. That's his role.
Circles in Norway.
He runs circles, literally. Yeah. But unlike Fred, even when Fred's running around like a headless chicken, you notice that Fred's there. With Lingard, you don't. It's sad. It's poor. It's unbelievable. What has happened of the old Jesse Messi? Anyways, Dan James out of 10.
Did you guys hear that he changed his agent to Mina Raiola?
Yeah, I did.
With Lingard?
Yeah, he changed his agent to Mina Raiola.
I think Mina Raiola is about to have his first bad client, like his first bad. Like, Mina Raiola is gonna have experience his first failure. Like, he's not gonna be able to do business.
Honestly, I think he sees that he needs to leave the club. He sees that he needs to go to the pastures because it's not working at United.
The only thing that's going to save Lingard, while we're on the Lingard topic, is his social media fan base. That's the only thing.
His little...
Like, if Lingard moves to a team like Aston Villa, that's instantly more followers for a team.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I speak to they're not really football fans. They don't support United, but everyone's like, oh, I like Lingard. You know, this is a pretty boy. He does this on social. I'm like, you see, that's the thing, though. You don't watch
Lingard
him as a footballer.
He's a name. He's a brand. He's not a footballer. Exactly. But anyways, Dan James out of 10.
Gosh. You know, I thought the front three was interesting today, the way they got set out. James put in crosses, but again, you know, it's what James does. Gets the ball, runs on that wing, puts in a cross. Either there, not there. He hasn't got an assist in a while, hasn't got a goal.
I didn't even see a cross from him, to be honest.
I seen one. I remember one cross where it went through people and no one.
Yeah, my stream might have cut out at that time.
Yeah, but you know, I thought James. I thought he was below average. I'm gonna give James a 5.
To be honest, I thought it was one of his worst games.
Yeah, it was one of his worst games.
I think once again, I sound like a broken record. It's the midfield, and he can't get the ball. So I don't like.
He can't do anything with it.
But I feel like sometimes he finds a way to get the ball and make something happen. Today, we didn't see any of that.
Yeah, you know, usually he runs back and gets it to something. Yeah. Like today, I didn't see much.
So I have to give him a 4.
Yeah, Brandon Williams was looking more like Usain Bolt than James was today, fam. Running with the ball. Yeah, James was non-existent. So it's unfortunate.
James came out in the interview and he actually said that he's surprised at how much game time he's getting at United. I mean, that just shows you. I mean,
I think Ole's doing these kids dirty, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
especially Greenwood. Like, you don't start this guy against Newcastle and all those types of teams, but then you throw him into a City derby
Exactly.
randomly
Exactly.
when the midfield isn't even strong.
And you don't even have the experienced players behind them to help them in
He's
that
doing
game.
these kids dirty. Where was Ashley Young? I'm sorry, but where was Ashley Young? Ashley Young usually starts in these big games. Why today? Why play Brandon Williams today of all days? Why not play Brandon Williams against Arsenal in the other games? Why today? What changed today that made Ollie decide this is the game I'm going to play youth in? What made him bring Gomez on today? From where?
Exactly. That's what I was most like. From
what
where?
made him bring Gomez
You're
on today?
bringing on Gomez. Like, I was happy, but I was like, from what? Why?
So, you know, with Ollie, I was really scratching my head today. Like, I don't disagree with Greenwood and James starting or Williams, but where was this consistent selection in the past? But anyways, let's not get too sidetracked. Greenwood out of 10.
You know, again, I'm Greenwood FC. I thought he was very quiet. He had a quiet game, big game for him, tough game for him to come in. But when he did have the ball, this man is a baller and he's super smart. You know, even if you watch Greenwood off the ball, his runs and the movements he's just making. Yeah, I think Greenwood is intelligent. And I thought that assist today, I felt like if Rashford was on, and if Rashford and Greenwood switched roles, I felt like that ball it isn't going through. So I was happy that Greenwood seen that and picked it up. And it was a good ball. It was on the break. And, you know, I thought Greenwood deserves an average 6.
Yeah.
I can agree with the 6. I think we saw today that he's not Martial. As much as he's not bad at moving the ball and holding up, like he became a bit isolated because he can't go in and carry the ball like Martial can. So, yeah, he didn't have a great game. He didn't really do much. I think 6 is sufficient.
Yeah, he's young. He needs to grow as a player. He needs to get molded. You know, a lot of people are in this romantic phase where they think he's going to be the next Robin van Persie, but he still has a lot of growing to do as a player, and he needs to learn how to make things happen out of nothing, not just off the bench, but when your team is genuinely struggling. And I think he will get there, but he's not going to get there if we throw him into derbies. It's not going to happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen. We need to nurture this kid. We need to play him in the Carabao
Play him in the
Cup.
right games. Play him off, but play him in the right games.
Yeah, I know this was a Carabao Cup game. I know there's going to be someone in the comments, but this was a Carabao Cup game. I mean, in a Carabao Cup game that isn't against Manchester City, throw him in those games to start, and then bring him off the bench in derbies. But don't just throw him.
But you know, then again, when I seen Greenwood on team sheet, I was like, I would have probably played him as well. So.
Yeah, if you're going to do it all the time, sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not like Ollie.
Yeah.
The way Ollie does.
It's strange. Anyways, Rashford out of 10. Quiet game for him.
You know, Rashford's rating is tough. I want to hear what Malota has to say first.
He scored.
Yeah,
not that he's not. I'm just pointing it out because you know that's what Rashford does.
I didn't forget his goal, to be honest, because he had a good game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've forgotten all his last 3 goals, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like the way he plays, it becomes so one-dimensional because when he has no space, he can't do anything. He's become a bit like Daniel James. It's really frustrating. I think I was going to give him a 5, but I gave Greenwood a 6, so I have to be consistent. I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, I agree with that almost completely. The only difference I would say is that at least Rashford's more matured than Greenwood in the sense that he just knows how to get goals. It happens. It's one of those things that you can say it's down to luck, but like, what is he on now? 17 goals?
He's always in the right space at the right time.
Yeah, that's not luck. That's positioning. That's IQ. That's experience. He knows how to get goals.
That's very true. As Shanique's been going on about it, I feel like he needs to improve his game in terms of in situations where there's no space, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
What is he going to do? There's
a better player. Yeah, there's a better player in Rashford.
But then he can also play a pass and move into the midfield and create.
He definitely is one-dimensional, though. I agree with that because, like, if you're a defender reading a playbook on how to stop Marcus Rashford, it's not complex. Like, it's not out of this world. You should know how to stop him if you're a top defender. Anyways.
There is a world-class player in Rashford. We just need someone that can unlock it and show him the road on how to become this player that he can be. And I believe he can. I have tough love with Rashford. But
I think he's on that road, to be honest with you.
I don't think he's on the road yet. I feel like his goal scoring has been great this season, but I don't think he's on the road yet. But yeah, today I thought, he got his goal. But I was going to give Rashford a 7, but then he had the armband today, and I felt as a leader, his head was a bit down. He didn't really I didn't see any signs of leadership or motivation from Rashford today. He was very quiet, and for a captain of United, I expect a bit more. And I just felt like he shouldn't. Rashford should not be captain of Manchester United at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna give Rashford a 6. Good goal today.
Definitely. I forgot he was wearing the armband today. Crazy. Anyways, I presume we're not going to do bench ratings, but we can at least talk about the guys.
I want to give Matic a rate. I want to give Matic a 6. I felt like when Matic came on, I was like, solid. Thank you.
You're a lot better. When did we become happy about Matic coming off the bench?
This is how power we're falling now. When Matic is coming on and he's putting in an average performance, and we're like, he's one of our better players. He came on, he was one of our better players.
Yeah, no, we need to be honest. Since he's come back from injury, he's been pretty decent.
He's been okay. Yeah, he's been okay. He does what he has to do.
It's the experience, though. It's nothing out of this world. It's the experience. It's not that Matic is this mind-blowing player. He's just experienced.
That's mad. That's mad.
I don't know, but I thought Angel Gomez was really good.
Yeah, I also thought Angel Gomez was good.
Angel Gomez came on from the bench, and who else?
Martial.
I felt like he was a lot like Matic, just with the pace, the movement, the picking the spaces,
and he forced the mistake. He forced City to make the mistake for a goal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been saying that there is a really good player in Angel Gomez, and there's not really any clarity in the fan base as to why he's not being played. It's unfortunate, really, because he is one of the better younger players in terms of skill for a lot of people.
If you're going to play at 10, you can play Angel Gomez. I would much prefer Angel Gomez over there than anyone else.
I just don't understand all his logic anymore. Like, I don't know why he does it. Why he does it?
He got no brain. Ollie's got no brain. I'm telling you.
He doesn't, because he's not consistent, and he's not very wise in the way he selects his players, because it's the same with the Greenwood thing and the Brandon Williams thing. Maybe not so much Greenwood, but with Brandon Williams, again, play Brandon Williams. I've got no problems with that, but don't go from he needs to share a role in the left back with Luke Shaw to I'm playing him in a derby. What? So why and who said bring on Angel Gomez in a derby? The guy hasn't played all season. Now you're going to bring him on in a derby to come save the game.
Yeah.
Who's making these decisions? Because I sometimes question if it's just Ollie. I have to look at that entire coaching staff, including him.
You have to.
Even though he's the head. Who is giving him this advice?
I think there's worse times to come for United. I think, I don't see change happening really. I know what the change is. I know how to move forward, but I just don't see anything happening. I feel like things are going to get probably worse.
Well, speaking of things getting worse, you were going to say?
I think the inconsistency is the biggest problem. We want to play youth, but we're not going to play a youth player who's doing well. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, and also, with regards to the whole youth thing, you can play youth and you can blend it in with experience. I don't understand why. What's such a big crime in playing a 26-year-old player? Because he's not old. Yeah, sure, 26 is not really youth. That's more in your prime. I don't know why we're not getting in those kinds of players. I don't know why we're not getting in 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds.
I think Mark Goldrich said it perfectly. We want players we can control.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense, because these games are proving why experience is important. I'm all for youth, but you need experience. Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to question whether the age really matters. Of course, the age does matter, but when you're in a low situation like United is at the moment, when someone like Matic is changing the complexity of your entire game, you've got to have an honest look in the mirror and say, we need experience, and we need experience now. This long-term vision is great, but we need experience.
And you know what? I honestly don't think Ollie deserves it. I think if we are going to support a manager for a long-term vision, this is not the man. This is not the man I want to spend 4 years
Yeah.
But I don't want to see him. Like if I had to give Oli a rating today, I gave what I gave Lingard -1,000.
Yeah.
Only for picking Lingard is an even bigger prat and dumbass than anything else. The smiling prat, smiling clown. Boy, this guy's the Joker because he's absolutely making a joke out of this club. You know, he loves it so much, he must fucking leave. Then you know what? This is ridiculous. Yo, I'm gonna give. I have to give Oli a rating today. Non-applicable. This guy is non-applicable. We didn't have a manager today, to be honest. We didn't have a manager.
He's becoming very consistent with these negative ratings. So
yeah,
I'll give him a -3 again, like at Wolves.
We didn't have a manager today. I'm being honest with you. If I was the board, what I would do is I won't even sign players in. Like I know we need players and stuff, but don't sign players that this clown wants. Please.
Yeah.
You know what? Leave Longstaff back in Newcastle, shitting in his toilet or whatever in Turf Moor. I don't give a flying foot. But get rid of him. Bring in Poch, please.
Push the Poch agenda, says Shawnee. Anyways, I don't know.
Like we know the owners aren't really gonna go anywhere anytime soon. But you can change the manager. And I know there are bigger problems. The owners are the big picture in this thing. But like at the end of the day, Ollie's still not getting small results. Results you should by the bare minimum be getting, and he doesn't even get that.
And also, it's about the football for some people. Some people don't care about the results anymore. Some people just want to see good football being played, and that's not even.
Yeah, like if Ollie, like I said, if Ollie played the first, like the way he played when he first got the job, and we still lost. I'll be like, you can see this working sub. You can see this up. He wants to do something. He wants to build something. This is a dead tactic, fam.
Yeah,
and a dead team.
And a dead team, and this club is going down the toilet, and so bad.
Yeah. He looks like he doesn't have any other cards. It's like he's clinging on the idea of players will come in and improve my tactic.
And a message to the fans is we have to be together. Excuse the pun, but we have to be united as fans. We have to be united as fans.
Well, if you want even more puns, the blue side of Manchester City won't be feeling the blues today. I'll tell you that much. They'll be ecstatic, and the red side of Manchester United will be shell-shocked. Gentlemen, I think it's been a good show. 52 minutes in, I think we should wrap it up. I don't know how we've dragged it on this long, but somehow we have.
Emotions, tensions, lots of opinion, but that's what you come here for. It's therapy.
Yeah, there's nothing personal between me and Shawnee. It's just a disagreement. It happens. That's what this channel is about. It's about fan opinion. It's about engaging. It's about hashing it out, as long as things don't get too personal. It's about banter. It's about... It's about the raw passion and getting your opinion out there as football fans. We've all been through a difficult period as Manchester United fans, and I'm sure tensions will always be flaring off the games like this, but you let it out. This is a platform that's meant to do that, and if you're an opposition fan, today's your chance to laugh at us and have a good evening. So whichever side of the coin you're on, it's really just a win-win. So please do leave a like in the video. Please do subscribe. We're growing slowly as a community, so I would please...
Thank you for 20. I pushed the 20 subscriber agenda and we reached it.
Oh yeah, thank you for 20. You got to start somewhere. So please, guys, share it with your friends if you can. We need to get as many subscribers as possible. And yeah, it's been a great show. So enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.